love a great story. As far as I can remember, everything I have ever learned or that has mattered to me, I have learned through storytelling. And I have learned much by being told and telling stories on the theater and through the theater. My earliest memory of theater is when I went to see Charbonneau et le Chef, a play written by Thomas MacDonagh and adapted by Paul Hébert and Pierre Morancy. It was 1973 and I was 15. I was living in the thick of the fever of independence in Quebec, a heated political and personal debate about our identity. Jean Duceppe, a great and famous Québécois actor, was starring in the production. I believe this is why we went. My parents were not in the habit of going to the theater unless I was starring in a school production. And so we were all thrilled, me most of all, to see him in the flesh. But what happened to me that night surpassed my expectations. That evening, I did hear a great story, beautifully told, about me. I had already fallen in love with Molière and Ionesco and wished for a life in the theater, but I had not fully realized what that meant to me until that night. The action of Charbonneau et le Chef was centered around the famous asbestos strike in Quebec in 1949, but it dealt with much more than that. It explored equality, freedom, and above all, identity. Ironically, it took a play originally written in English, adapted into French and Québécois at that, about events that happened before I was born, to make me feel an immediate and personal connection to the theater. This experience changed my life. I had discovered that theater has the power to give a voice, not only to me, but to everyone with whom I share this world. I had learned that the stage was not only a place where stories were told, but it was where we could tell our stories. I have always been curious about the world beyond mine, always yearning to experience how the other half lives. Perhaps this is why I chose to leave Quebec after my university studies and explore theater in the rest of Canada, in another language, in another and other cultures. I am one of the fortunate theater artists in this country whose career in the theater has led her to work with the stories and experiences of a variety of Canadian cultures: First Nations, Acadian, East and West Indian, Black, and many more other communities. These encounters have challenged and deepened my perception of this nation. I believe the idea of nationhood, our identity, derives from the diversity in our descent and history. It is formed in the way we express ourselves, in the language of our stories. The best work, our most memorable experiences, I believe, emerge from those differences and encounters with the other. As we come to acknowledge these differences, our unique and common identities are brought into representation. Our voices become clearer, our stories stronger. I believe it is theater's responsibility to reflect this diversity, not only through ethnicity and language, but also by revealing the multiplicity of performing arts practices that make up this artistic community. Through my travels, I have come to understand the magnificent scope of Canada's national theatre community, a landscape of performing arts that is continually being shaped by the diversity of its artists and their practice. It is this diversity that theatre needs to celebrate. Through these encounters with the other, I am learning to be at home in the unfamiliar, to be at ease in the uncomfortable. It is through the meeting of these differences that I am shaken out of my complacency, that I am challenged to work harder, to be better. Theatre must dare to unsettle, be violent in its choices, explore the danger in living a full life. The best stories are full of the unexpected. They are journeys of discovery about the self and the other. And so, in my life and in my work, I must venture into the land of, I don't know. After all, I do love a great story. Thank you.